jobs market is highly competitive, with lots of really good people looking for new opportunities. So a first-rate CV is critically important. Your CV has the power to make or break your chance of an interview. Low-quality CVs get absolutely no attention. They don't engage the reader, they frustrate the owner, damaging self-confidence, and they waste valuable time. In a highly competitive market, if you don't have a high-quality professional CV, you're fighting a losing battle. To improve your chances for interview, you need to communicate relevant information about your skills, knowledge, competence, and experience. A CV is designed to get you the interview, nothing else. You have 10 seconds to make an impact before you get put in the bin, so you need to make it count. If your first page doesn't screen perfect for the job, then your CV is failing you. It's the company's very first impression, so it's important to get it right. Content needs to be strong, professional, with quantifiable evidence to back up what you say. Split your CV under the following headings to make sure it's easy to read. Include your name, address, mobile, and email contact. The profile or personal statement is very important because it's the first sales and marketing pitch on your CV, and I'll come back to that in just a moment. Use action verbs and short sentences to outline your achievements where possible, and you need to communicate positive contributions you've made in earlier roles. For your career experience, include each organisation with dates, starting with your most recent and working backwards. Include a 2 to 3 line summary of each role, expertise and key achievements, but don't duplicate achievements mentioned earlier. You need to account for gaps in employment dates. For education and professional training, list your qualifications with the highest first and work-based before academic. Include accredited training and other courses completed that are relevant to the role for which you're applying. Include professional memberships if appropriate, and with regard to additional information, include anything here that you feel may be relevant to the performance of the job, again, for which you are applying. There's no need to include references on a CV. Unless you're specifically requested to do so, it's normal to supply these after qualifying rounds are completed. Let's look at some common mistakes on CVs. The first is CVs that are too long. Anything on or after the third page is unlikely to be read. So it's good advice to keep your CV to a maximum of 3 pages. Recruiters and employers don't have the time or the desire indeed to read your life story. Another common mistake is writing in the first person. Overuse of the word I can communicate self-indulgence and sometimes appears unprofessional, so it's a good idea to remove the use of it entirely. Use action words instead, like designed, improved, completed, or initiated. The relevance of your education or training is also important. If you have 10 years professional experience, don't put your education on the front page. It's really not as important as your most recent experience. Also, if your education is historic, don't go into too much detail about it. A one-line summary is more appropriate. So, for example, a 2-1 degree in whatever from wherever. This obviously doesn't apply if you're a recent graduate or you've just completed a career training course with little experience in the sector. In that case, you need to go into some detail about your course and areas of it that are relevant to the job for which you are applying. The absence of achievements is also a mistake often seen on CVs. Achievements state the measurable benefits you provided for previous employers. It's how you justified the salary. Achievements are things that you did that saved the organisation money, made the organisation money. They demonstrate that you're commercially focused rather than someone who does things that are not connected to business benefits or outcomes. Now, this is also important if applying for work in a not-for-profit sector. You need to focus on what you achieved that were connected to the organisation's outcomes or outputs. Another common mistake is the absence of a personal statement. You need a profile that says precisely who and what you are. The short statement should highlight the skills and personal qualities you have that are relevant to the job. It should grab the attention and hook the reader. So it's important to tailor the statement to the requirements of the specific job for which you're applying. Make the statement descriptive and specific, but not an essay. 50 words is a useful guide. It should be clear and avoid using jargon, and it's very important that it's tailored to the job spec. So you need to put yourself in the shoes of the reader. You have mere seconds to make that first impression, and your front page has to convince them in no uncertain terms that you're a likely person for the job and a definite candidate for an interview. In the same way that recruitment and selection is a process, so is applying for a job. As you know, the CV gets you the interview, and a significant focus during the interview is obviously the content of the CV. So as the creator of the CV, you also determine the key discussion points during the interview. So if you tailor your CV to the specific job, you can focus on how your skills, qualities, and prior achievements prove you can do this job. And this will help to focus interview questions on areas you want to actually discuss. So let's revisit the personal statement or profile for a moment. You need to be confident, assertive, but above all else, tailor the statement to the specified job. Get your pen and highlight exactly what the employer is looking for. You're looking for descriptors of personal qualities, skills, and experience in the role specification. Now, as well as numbers of years' experience and required technical skills, you're likely to see some types of descriptors such as motivation, initiative, leadership capabilities, organizational skills, problem-solving capabilities, etc. Include the relevant descriptors in your profile. Because the illustrative words are a bit vague, you will then need to clarify, qualify, and quantify in your achievement section. So for example, what challenging goals did you set and how exactly did you achieve them? What specific things did you do to motivate your team to perform? Essentially, employers want to see concrete examples of how you were able to contribute to a former company and how the organisation was better off as a result of the work that you performed. So this means that in addition to describing attractive qualities and skills, you will use numbers and statistics that show quantitative change. So how do you do this? To structure an achievement, use the acronym STAR. STAR stands for situation, task, activity, and result. So when describing an achievement, consider 3 or 4 parts. What was the situation? What particular technical skill or personal attribute was in play? How did you carry out the particular task or activity? And what was the measurable, quantifiable result or benefit? So when using STAR, ask yourself the so what question for each part of your CV. Read the achievement in the context of the job and it should impress you. So for example, if you have an achievement which reads something like mentored other team members, you have to ask yourself, so what? Because essentially you trained some staff and then what happened? The company spent money for you to train staff, so what benefit did it achieve for them? So it's not a particularly impressive achievement. A more impressive way of explaining it might be mentored a customer service team who designed a response system that was 50% faster than before. This enabled us to beat our competitors and capture 60% market share. Now, that's showing what the situation was, the task at hand, and what the result was, which was very impressive. And the likely response is going to be one of being impressed. So that's what he or she did in the previous job. Can you come and do this for me? So successfully including achievements in your career path is likely to be a challenging part of developing your CV. However, it's what will give you the competitive edge over other candidates and help get you that all-important interview and eventually get you the job. So to recap, an effective CV is tailored. It focuses on the specific job for which you're applying and focuses on the requirements of that job. It's only one part of the recruitment process. The other parts include your cover letter and your online identity, potentially your e-portfolio. Because it's one part of the process, you also need to focus on these other areas.